You're over 50, you just got laid off, and I want you to realize something. That layoff could be the absolute best thing that's ever happened in your entire career. You just got laid off. You're over 50 and you're struggling to get interviews. And I want to ask you a very serious question. Why are you trying so hard to get another boss? Especially when you're talking about spending hours tailoring resumes, bypassing or trying to bypass or trick these automated AI algorithms, participating in these meandering behavioral assessments that sometimes just go on and on and on, and begging a 30-year-old HR manager for a chance to work 50 hours a week for a corporate structure that just proved it can throw you away in a heartbeat. So, what if I told you there's a way to make the exact same salary you made before, maybe even better, while working fewer hours, choosing your own projects, your own clients, and completely bypassing the traditional job application process? We got to change the paradigm on these things, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to get into it.
Because you say don't be ashamed of being fired and embrace the failure.
Exactly.
Which is hard to do when you've been fired.
Well, I think particularly today when the economy is changing so fast and roles are changing, we have to realize that it's not always about our performance. And I think boomers were raised at a time when being fired was shameful. It meant that you couldn't stay in this job that was supposed to maintain your career.
And how much of it is that generational hardwiring?
I think a lot of it is. I think we were conditioned to this idea that you got a good education, got a good job, worked for 40 years, got to retire, and that's out the window.
And that's why you say you should reinvent your career before you are forced to do so.
Well, exactly.
Which I think is a really good point.
Because a lot of people in their 50s are being downsized and being given early retirement buyouts, and they're kind of lost. They think, I've worked in this job that defines me, and they need to understand that there is more. There's more down the road, and that the job is inside them. That next career step is not out there in some job description.
No, the line that stood out, guys, to me was take a deep dive into your heart.
Yeah, it really is.
I like that.
So based on your research, what were some good examples of people who reinvented themselves, who were boomers? How did they do it? Take us step by step. Yeah.
Well, I have profiles of 7 people in the book, and I really wanted to go out to find people who were using some of the principles that I talk about in the book, and without getting into the 5 steps and 23 strategies, which is kind of this modular program that you can avail yourself of. What it comes down to for me are 2 ideas. The first idea is that, again, the job is inside you, and that we all have, particularly at this stage of life, we've kind of earned this right to have meaning and purpose in our careers. We know more who we are, what we're capable of, what we like to do, how we're going to enjoy getting up in the morning and going to work for the next 20 years of our lives.
All right, let's talk about that, okay? You get to define things now that you've been cut free from the corporate hierarchy. So today we're going to talk about what a lot of people are seeing as an ultimate secret weapon for experienced professionals over 50. Okay, you've worked and gained experience and knowledge over the course of decades. Now we're going to take what's called the fractional route. So in this video, what I'm going to do is show you why small and mid-sized businesses they're practically begging for your expertise right now, and how the math actually works out in your favor. Okay, so we're going to go to the step-by-step blueprint for you to land your first fractional client this month. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this. All right, first let's define the term. Fractional work is not the same as freelancing or gig work. Okay, we're not talking about doing little inexpensive jobs on Upwork or anything like that. Fractional work means you serve as a highly experienced part-time leader or specialist for a company. So you're selling a fraction of your time to a business that desperately needs your wisdom, your experience, but they cannot afford or may not even need your full-time executive, experience, and can't bring you on for the full salary. Okay. Now think about this. How many times can you duplicate this? Always think of that, okay? And you're going to see how that works in a minute. So let's give you an example. So you got a fast growing mid-sized company. They got about 40 to 50 employees, and they need a chief marketing officer or a chief financial officer, or I don't know, a senior operations director. But they cannot afford to pay a full-time executive $200,000 a year plus benefits, plus maybe equity also, okay, to do that job, to fill that position. But you know what they can afford? They can easily afford to pay you $5,000 a month to work for them 1 day a week or for a few hours a day. So for that company, they get 30 years of executive level brilliance at a fraction of the cost. For you, if you secure just 3 of those clients, okay, now you're making 15 grand a month or $180,000 a year, and you're working. I mean, this schedule is highly flexible, 20 to 25 hours a week. All right. Now, you're probably thinking at this point, why would they hire me if they won't hire me full time? Why would they bring me on as this fractional partner instead of just bringing me on full time? So let's really consider this. Okay, in the fractional market, ageism completely disappears. And look, ageism is a thing in the work world, has been since there was a work world, right? So when a corporate HR department, when they take a look at a full-time resume for someone over 50, I'm going to tell you exactly what they see. And this is the ageism part, right? They're going to have that HR manager is going to have unspoken biases. Okay, they're going to worry about whether or not the over 50 individual is a cultural fit. Okay, they're going to worry that you're going to want too much money because after all, you've got a lot of experience. They're going to worry about how much time you're going to take off because you're, getting older. They are really going to worry about when you're going to retire. Okay. So if they invest a lot of money and then 5 years later you're out, they don't want to have to go through that. All right. However, when a business owner hires a fractional executive, they want one thing, well, two things. They want wisdom, they want experience. Okay. And they're willing to pay for it. They want someone who's already made all the mistakes years ago on someone else's dime, right? So they're not investing in a 20-year career path at this point for you. What they're investing in is your ability to solve an acute, painful problem right now. They're not interested in really training you. They want you to bring the experience to the table. They want you to basically walk in day one, look at whatever issue it is they're having and say, all right, I've seen this before a couple of 3 times. Here's what we need to do to fix it. Okay. So here you have turned your age from a liability into an asset. And you basically made it the absolute proof of your value. Okay, so how do we actually get this started? All right, let's think about implementation. Hit the ground running. It's actually a lot simpler than you might think. And you're not going to need a fancy website. You're not going to need an LLC to begin. Okay, although that may be something you want to look at down the road. What you do need is to follow 3 well-defined steps. And I'm going to give you those 3 steps now. Stop trying to sell yourself as a generalist. So don't just come out there and say, I've got 30 years of experience in finance. Okay. Way too general. You want to solve a problem. Okay. So instead, you identify the exact acute issue that you can come in and solve. So don't say, I do accounting. Say, I help mid-sized construction companies clean up their messy books and find hidden cash flow. Be very specific. What's in it for them? I want you to be very confident and unapologetic about setting your retainer price. Don't charge by the hour because hourly rates invite clients to pretty much micromanage your time. Instead, charge a monthly flat retainer. So if you spend 5 to 10 hours a week advising a client, charge them $3,000 to $5,000 a month. That might fluctuate a little. You're going to have to look at the regional um, going rates for these things. You don't want to overprice yourself. You don't want to undercut yourself. But that's kind of in the ballpark, and it aligns your pay with the value of your decisions, not the number of hours you sit in a chair. And that's important. And you can explain it to them just like it. You're not paying for a person to sit in the chair. You're paying for a result. Okay? That's what you're communicating to your would-be client. All right, don't pitch this idea to complete strangers out on the internet. Okay? Don't do that. Your first fractional client is almost always someone who already knows you, likes you, trusts you. So, what I want you to do is make a list of former bosses, former colleagues, vendors, local business owners, and I want you to send them a casual email or a LinkedIn message. Do not ask for a job, okay? Instead, say this: Hey, my name's Joe Smith. I recently transitioned into doing fractional advisory work for businesses in our industry. I'm helping companies solve whatever issue we mentioned earlier. I'm helping construction companies solve a particular problem and derive more revenue out of, cutting hidden expenses. Okay. You've got to tailor it for your field, for your skill set and experience. If you know anyone struggling with this issue right now, I'd love to chat. And you're going to be shocked at how many people reply and say some derivation of, wait, can you help us with that?
Good morning.
Life is unpredictable. One moment, you're going to work.
I need to wash my car.
The next moment, rabid bobcat.
Oh my God, the bobcat! Oh my God! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get your feet! Get up! Blessings! Watch out!
We can get life insurance for anyone,
Watch out! What?
including him.
The bobcat attacked my wife! A bobcat!
All right, let's pause and take a little review of how this fractional work paradigm fits and stacks up against the 9 to 5. All right, so traditional 9 to 5, you're going to be doing 40 to 50 hours a week. You got a corporate boss, you've got a hierarchy above you that could be making decisions that you don't even know about that impact your livelihood, your income. And because all of your eggs are in that one corporate basket, you got really a 100% risk of layoff at any given time, right? Yeah, sure, you're making about $120,000 if you've been in the corporate arena for 15 to 20 years, maybe. All right. Now, the fractional route, you've got 15 to 25 hours that you're spending per week, 3 diverse clients, right? So if you lose one client, you've lost only 33% of your income. Whereas if you get laid off, you lose 100%. And under this structure, you could, bring in with 3 clients, you could easily bring in $144,000, depending on the industry you're in, the area you're in, and things like that. 3 clients at $4,000 a month. Okay. Now you got to pay your taxes and your health insurance and all that. Okay. So that needs to be taken into account as well. And I can't stress this enough. So when you go fractional, you're not putting all your eggs in one corporate basket. You're diversifying your income. So if one client runs into some financial trouble and has to let you go, you're not going to go to zero. Okay. You still have the other clients paying the bills and you're out there sourcing a replacement client, right? And you might have to do that periodically anyway, because you might get in there and you'll probably solve their problem. And unless they have another one that you can address, they may not need you to come to remain with them. It's the reality of it. Okay. Everything in life is a trade-off. So if you just got laid off over 50, I want you to realize something. That actually could be the absolute best thing that has ever happened in your career. It's the perfect opportunity to stop treating your health and your sanity for a corporate salary and to start working on your own terms. So you have the experience, you have the wisdom. Now it's time to package it and sell it to people who can actually respect it. But what if you still want a traditional full-time job? Or what if a fractional prospect wants to interview you and you're terrified of facing younger hiring managers who might judge you for your age? All right, fine. In the next video in this series, we're going to tackle that particular issue head on. Over 50 interview masterclass. So I'm going to teach you the exact verbal scripts to handle the "you're overqualified" objection, how to command respect in a panel interview, because that's big these days, right? And how to make your age your greatest selling point. We've done a little bit of that here. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, share this information. It is vital that you share this as we navigate this evolving economy, and we're going to be successful at doing it. Hit that thumbs up. I'll talk to you soon.